Let's go to that first clip about marriage prioritization. And a female is going to give her reasoning, her perspective as to why that's happening. And then I'm going to tell you why she's wrong and what she's missing. Let's go.
It shifted from where it was and why.
Yes. Are you letting me go first?
Sure.
I'm assuming. Okay. Yes, I feel like the prioritization has shifted. I still, though, do believe that it's important, and I do believe that both men and women want to be married. But what I think where the shift has occurred is that women are not accepting any type of treatment just to have a man. I think that our expectations are higher, our tolerance is lower, and we're able and capable of being by ourselves if we need to be. And so I think that whereas we do want companionship and we do ultimately want a partner, someone to share our lives with, I just don't think that at this point in time women are accepting anything just to say that they have a man.
Okay. So there's multiple components of this. First of all, in one respect, where she's correct is that because women are in the workplace more and because women are earning more money, from a financial perspective, there are women out there that, yes, if they're in a bad situation with a guy, say a guy's cheating, guy's doing something dirty, nasty, not paying her any attention, she's with, a deadbeat guy, she's going to feel comfortable to say, I have my own financial stability, so I'm out. She's right on that. But she's missing a whole bunch of other reasons why that put that accountability on the female. Because remember, we have to take accountability for our own actions. Now, why else what are the other reasons why marriage isn't the goal anymore? There are many. First of all, we talk oftentimes about this I don't need a man philosophy. I don't need a man. I don't need a man. That's been indoctrinated into young women. The reason for that is that in many cases, men have been reduced to a wallet. So women are having these conversations about men and they're saying, well, I have a job. I have financial stability. So I don't need a man for that. And what they're forgetting about is all of the other things that guys bring to the table. They're forgetting about, that shoulder to cry on. They're forgetting about that sense of union when times get tough. They're forgetting about someone, starts breaking into your home and you don't want to handle that situation. You want your protector guy to handle that situation. Let's be honest. They're forgetting about, well, I'm going to want kids and I'm going to want my kid to have a father, a real father. And remember, women and men bring different things to the table. Dads and moms bring different things to the table. So a mom can't be a dad. A dad can't be a mom. It is different. I know that's controversial in 2022, but let's just be honest about it. It's different. And ideally, in an ideal situation, you want your kid to have a father figure. So there's so many other things. And because women in their 20s aren't thinking anymore about that family structure, they're just focused on, well, I'm making money. So, I can be real picky. And sometimes then what happens? They get to, 50. We're going to get to that in a second, actually, what happens when they get to 50. Okay, so there's the I don't need a man philosophy. Then we have the women rating themselves a 10. Right, which we covered the other day. I'm a 10, I'm a 10. This delusion that goes on where all these women say they're a 10, and as a result, they look for that 10 guy, and that 10 guy's not interested in them because they're actually not a 10. Maybe they're an 8, maybe they're a 9, whatever they are. And so they're narrowing and tightening that market so small that there's a whole bunch of guys that they're not looking at. Or a whole bunch of guys that they feel are beneath them because they have a distorted sense of what they actually look like and what they bring to the table. And we all just have to be realistic about that, right? So women are getting very, very, very picky. Very picky. It's like, you got to make 6 figures. You got to have the nice car. You got to have the nice apartment that you keep really nice. You got to be a protector. You've also got to let me somehow run the house and be the boss of the house when it comes to big decisions. I mean, listen, you got to be really good looking. You got to be in shape. And what I always say is, when you make these demands, always look in the mirror and self-reflect. What are you bringing to the table? What are you willing to do? Do a proper, realistic self-assessment, because otherwise you're only hurting yourself. You're going to say, oh, all these guys aren't good enough for me. I'm not even going to give them the second look. And maybe there are some really good guys out there that maybe they're not a 10, but maybe you're not a 10 either. And maybe a realistic assessment of that would open up a whole bunch of really wonderful opportunities for you that could work out really well. So we have that, they're rating themselves a 10. Women also set these very high standards for men, right? Of the things that they want, as we said, you know, the income, all this stuff. But do they set the same high standards for themselves on the things that men care about? And when you ask women this all the time, they'll say, well, I want my guy to make 6 figures. I want my guy, blah, blah, blah. And then when the question turns to them and people say, well, what do you bring to the table? They'll say, well, I make 6 figures. Well, he doesn't care about that. What are you doing that he does care about? Because you're telling me what you care about when it comes to him is the 6 figures, you know, protector, in shape, you know, good looking, has the car, has the house, is going to pay the bills. You care about these things as a female. Now listen to what he cares about. He wants you to be feminine. He wants you to be, you know, someone that's pleasant to be around and has a good energy in the home. He wants you to be nurturing. He wants you to prioritize being a mom. Now, they take offense sometimes to those things and say, well, that's antiquated. You know, I'm a career woman, blah, blah, blah. But again, be realistic. You're talking, when you talk about CEO status and all this stuff, you're talking about things that you value, and that's totally okay. But that's not necessarily why he's gonna want to be there. So have a realistic assessment of what you bring to the table and what guys actually are looking for. And we're going to talk about this huge disconnect between what guys actually want and what women want to believe they want, because it's what women oftentimes want for themselves. Okay. Also, this idea of like, here's another challenge. Why marriage is, remember the question, is marriage even the goal anymore? Oftentimes not for women in their 20s, because they feel like they have a lot of time. And in their 20s, they're thinking, and you heard the girls on the Whatever podcast the other day say, well, I'm fine. I'll be alone. I don't care. I'll be alone at 40. This is a different generation of women. We're tough. They say that as a young 20-something, when they are in their peak of attractiveness, when they're very youthful, they're very fertile, they have, you know, their job, their money's coming in, they've got guys sliding into their DMs constantly. Women get a ton of attention online. Even if they're a 6, they get a lot of attention. Guys who are a 6, not getting like a fraction of that attention online. So women are used to all this stuff in their 20s. And then what happens is, they don't prioritize marriage. They don't prioritize any of that stuff because it's like, this is my self-discovery. And apparently self-discovery now means you hop in and out of everybody's bed. That's what's going on, right? We talked about that the other day. Then they get to like 40 or 45 or whatever it is, and they're alone. And they're tired of that hookup culture. And they're bored. They don't need all the DMs. And frankly, the DMs aren't coming in as much because they're not in the scene. They're not young in the same way. Maybe they're not at their peak of attractiveness. Maybe some are, but most probably aren't. Just be realistic about the aging process. Come on. And I say this, I'm 43. I'm being honest, right? So let's just be real. And they're not as fertile, right? So those guys that are looking for a family and children are not looking at, you know, someone who's in their mid 40s. Maybe they'll fall in love with someone in their mid 40s. I'm not saying no, but that's not like, they're like, could that be an issue? Like, more inclined to go for somebody in their early 30s, 20s at that point. So now all of a sudden they're alone. And now they care. Now they care about marriage. Now they want the partnership and all of that stuff that comes with it. The union, shall we call it. The marriage, the husband. But it's much harder to find. So a 20-something female is not speaking for a 40-something female. It doesn't play out quite the way that modern feminism tells you it plays out. And what happens is a lot of women wind up being really unhappy because they don't want to be alone.